Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namu Myoho Renge Kyo. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Hello to you. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your support. Thank you mostly for your practice. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. On that note, won't go long on this, but a repeating question that gnaws at us in our practice, and I see it in the comments and the emails, is how do we benefit others with our practice? There's a lot of silly myths and memes about that, and chanting for others specifically and all of that. Look, as we're reading right now in the Diamond Sutra, and as we discovered in the Lankavatara Sutra, and certainly as we practice the Lotus Sutra, you must be confident. You must know this in your mind and heart, okay? That the very act of enlightenment, the actions that you take when you chant Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, to instantiate your Buddha wisdom, your Buddha mind, so deeply, so profoundly affects, influences your maximal potential, your full expression of your freight train of karma and beyond. Because that karma is of the same thing that everything is of. When we connect with that force, that living, breathing, moment-to-moment form, instantiation, manifestation of that totality of energy, and we are mentally cognizant of it, that's the big thing, because that's Buddhahood. Buddhahood doesn't exist anywhere else but in the mind that witnesses the largesse of life, not just our PB&J in our lunch bag, okay? It's hard to conceive of this, but we keep talking about it in the Lankavatara and the Diamond, and it's taken for granted that we understand this when we read the Lotus Sutra. And why do I say this? Because if you really fully experience, understand, comprehend that when you attain Buddhahood, when you chant Namu Myoho Renge Kyo, you are tapping into the entirety of life. If that makes sense to you, then you must understand that by its nature includes all other sentient minds, all other forms of life. That is the equanimity we're talking about. It's not, see, there's this borderline. I don't know what's going on with my eye. I apologize. There's this borderline of our samsaric identification of self being this one thing. And we think when we reach and we invoke our enlightenment, that it is confined to that samsaric me. This is the very border that Shakyamuni is constantly trying to break down in every sutra I'm reading. So please understand that when you tap into through your gohonzon, your portal, your personal portal to Buddha-ness, that's no longer personal. You experience it personally, without doubt. But what you're tapping into is so immense, so much beyond the idea of me, I, self. It just, that's part of the attachments. You see? When you start to break through and understand this mental faculty that you have, that we all have, and what it actually means to awaken, yeah, that's when the attachment, the samsaric reality, that's when it breaks down. Not because you personally become a cloud of enlightenment. No. It's because you personally become a vehicle for enlightenment. And this is how, by its own nature, you chant for others. So I could go on and on this morning about the things that I've seen in the news about women struggling in South Korea for some kind of equanimity, some kind of equality with men. How long have you ladies been fighting that battle? In other countries, men and women, whether they realize it or not, are fighting for equality with insects and animals, because humanity is under such tremendous assault in our modern day. Look at, do I need to point out war, the huge migrations going on all over the Eurasian continent, people trying to run from things, they're just running to different versions. It may be better in some regions than others, but my goodness, the human suffering on our planet today, it's incalculable. And you and I must have the confidence, the absolute knowing that by invoking Myoho Renge Kyo, invoking Buddha-ness, that we are radiating that enlightenment out to all of that, because all of that isn't separate from us. See, that's the illusion. That's samsara. Oh, that's happening over there. It'll never happen here. It is happening here. It's happening via your compassion, via your knowledge of it, via the government's political plays on how they work with other nations, right? Foreign policy, economics, the price of goods, the price of gasoline. Yeah, it's happening here. We may not be at a border starving to death in below zero temperatures just trying to get to another place. But karmically, yeah, that's you and I. That's why it's of such vital importance that A, of course, you practice daily, and B, because you want to keep that portal open to Buddha-ness, that it mollifies, directs, informs your actions. With the confidence, the absolute knowing that what you're doing is affecting life. It's really that vitally important. And it's a very real, tangible thing. I'm not talking magic here. I'm not talking putting magic spells in the air. We don't need to do that. The reality itself of what we do and how our environment responds is absolute, real, tangible. No need for magic or fanciful, mystical, right? In fact, the more real we envision and mind it, the more effective it is. So, let that be an introduction for today's talk. Yeah, our Buddhahood is the actual state of energy forming into matter, mass, thoughts, the mind, actions. Section 25. Subhuti, what do you think? Does it occur to the Tathagata, I rescue beings? Surely, Subhuti, you should hold no such view. Wait a minute, what did you just say? That's why I opened with what I was saying a moment ago. Does the Tathagata, your experience of Buddhahood, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo, does that experience think, I rescue beings? This is so vitally important to understand. Because the moment you say I, you have left Buddhahood and you've become samsaric. Oops. Your instantiation of Buddhahood reaches all of life, other beings, other sentient minds. Even if they're ignorant of it, it shapes the formations of their karma. We're dealing with energy here. All the divisions of atoms, molecules, energetic formations are not distinct, separate things. They are just different colors of the same thing, different manifestations, different formations of potential. There's no variations in potential. There are only variations in instantiations of it. Just like the sparkler. All the sparks are simply sparks. So when he asks Subhuti, I rescue beings, being the Tathagata, I rescue beings? No. Because the Tathagata is no I. And the rescue, whatever you term that to mean, is some self-realization in all of selfness. Do you see? Surely, Subhuti, you should have no such view. And why not? Subhuti, the being does not exist who is rescued by the Tathagata. It is beingness, it is suchness that is being awakened with every daimoku. Try to impress upon yourself the largesse of what you're doing. You're not just sitting in your room and filled with anxiety and stress going, Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. You're certainly not asking to be saved. You are instantiating something that you are innately it. You aren't part of it. You are it itself. Buddha-ness. Connect your samsaric mind with that incredibly immense, unfathomable force, beingness. Words fail here, yeah? The being, the personal I, does not exist, who is rescued by the Tathagata. You're just rejoining the stream of all life. It's so immense, it's hard to conceive, right? Subhuti, if any being were rescued by the Tathagata would be attached to a self. That's what I just said. It's not you as Buddha, it's you in Buddha, which you're already there. That's maybe the frustrating conundrum of this practice, is we spend all of our time not being there, distracted, paying attention to every little fart that happens in our life. They're just sparks. They're going to happen. Yes, it's not a denial. It's just a repositioning of your participation, your view. He would be attached to a being, attached to a life, and attached to a soul. There it is, that ego soul brainwashing. There's no enlightenment in that. That's a hard stop. Be in the fodder of life. Be in the footsteps. Be in the marshes. Be in all the stress and anxiety. That's not life. That's so not life. Attachment to a self, Subhuti, is said by the Tathagata to be no attachment. How foolish then is it? It's like maintaining that every illusion you have, like Santa Claus or any other, that it's a real thing, an experience that's real. It's not. It's a made-up phantasm for who knows what reason, who cares? Yet, foolish people remain attached. And foolish people, Subhuti, are said by the Tathagata to be no people. They're just living in a dream, in a mirage. That's the painful part of it, is for all their clinging, the ignorant, the people who don't know anything about chanting, who don't know anything about Buddhism, cling to such bizarre. You can't possibly know what each person is triggered by to remain in their samsaric reality. They're just spinning in the mire of suffering. And they don't understand that they don't need to do that. We don't need to do that. Thus they are called foolish people. Well, foolish people are killing one another right now on the planet. How lamentable. How motivated can you be? And you shouldn't be motivated by negativity, but certainly by your love, by your empathy, by your desire to see people's suffering stop. If you knew that you could just do one simple thing, take a pill, learn a gatha, a verse, that would affect, slowly influence people away from such abhorrent, violent behavior, whether it's mental, physical, verbal, violence. Violence is what? It's a denial of humanity. And it's everywhere. Today it's sparked by the tiniest stupidity, even within ourselves. Certainly that's a place to identify it, to start. There it is. It's in me. When did you take that pill? How hard is it to chant Namum Myoho Renge Kyo, to get a proper mandala, to enshrine it with respect to this higher mode of being? Certainly, it wouldn't take that much motivation just to chant Namum Myoho Renge Kyo. So you must have the confidence, you must have the resolve that with each recitation, your life itself is radiating life-affirming value, pushing aside the tendencies toward violence, the tendencies toward manipulation and backstabbing. Those are all forms of violence, yeah? Supporting the magnificence of a human life, a human mind, a sentient mind, with all that it can perceive all around us, the love that it can experience. Subhuti, what do you think? Can the Tathagata be seen by means of the possession of attributes? And here we're back at that same argument, right? This light is getting brighter. Yeah, a little bit more tolerable. Can you identify Buddha, Buddha-ness? Well, Buddha-ness is 6 feet tall. It has blue eyes and beautiful locks of hair and long ears and a lump. And how silly is that, right? That's not Buddha-ness. Buddha-ness is felt. It's an experience. It's a cognition. It's life. Subhuti said, no, indeed, Bhagavan. As I understand the meaning of what the Buddha says, the Tathagata cannot be seen by means of the possession of attributes. Subhuti is pretty sharp here. A little further along, I would garner to say, than our friend Mahamati. And yet here we are in this question and answer format, as Nichiren uses it all the time, same as Shakyamuni, trying to cross this divide. So don't be worried that you're not getting it. The bulk of Mahayana, if not Hinayana, even in its earliest days of the perfection of wisdom, was all about getting past this hump of the lifetime of garnering identification and data and warehouse and whatever analogy we need to identify it, our samsaric life of just innumerable attachments, attachments, to make the mental shift to understand this magnificent totality of life, of which we are a small lens. We're not outside of it. We're not a small part of it. We are a lens to witness it, the totality of it. Each of us, each sentient mind, is that lens to which the whole of life avails its experience to us. It's hard to get past that little tiny, we create a little peephole. It's almost like day and night. Now, normally, that analogy of day and night is used for can't see anything at night, but during the light of day, we see it all. Reverse that. That's a samsaric ideation. In Buddhism, we're saying that the bright sunlight of attachment of the day with our blue sky and our white clouds, at night, poof, all of that is gone, and we witness billions of years of reality that we never see during the day. The time machine that is the night sky, the totality of the universe as far as one can see, not only with your naked eye, your physical eye, but the additional lenses of telescopes and radio waves and infrared telescopes and information and data down to photons of light that we can collate and experience so much more. But it's not more than you and I. We've always been here. We're of the same energy. Yeah, when we chant, that's what we do. We move aside the clouds and the beautiful blue sky, and we realize all those things exist, and they're wonderful to experience, but they're such a small aspect of. The Buddha said, "Well done, Subhuti. Well done, so it is, Subhuti. It is as you claim. The Tathagata cannot be seen by means of the possession of attributes." And why not, Subhuti? If the Tathagata could be seen by the means of the possessions of attributes, a universal king would be a Tathagata. Hence, the Tathagata cannot be seen by means of possession of attributes. Because if you could identify Buddha, then it would be limited. It would be a much smaller thing. The Venerable Subhuti said to the Buddha, "As I understand the meaning of what the Buddha says, the Tathagata cannot be seen by the means of the possession of attributes." On that occasion, the Buddha then spoke in this gatha, the verse form, right? "Who looks for me in form, who seeks me in a voice, indulges in wasted effort. Such people see me not." Because Buddha-ness isn't outside of your experience of life. It is life. It is the experience you're having. But writ large, not isolated as the little attached monster we are with our drove of monkeys in our minds. It's so much vaster, more vast, I suppose. Subhuti, what do you think? Was it due to the possession of attributes that the Tathagata realized unexcelled perfect enlightenment? Subhuti, you should hold no such view. And why not? Subhuti, it could not have been due to the possession of attributes that the Tathagata realized unexcelled perfect enlightenment. Because Tathagata-ness is unexcelled perfect enlightenment. These are just labels we put on this experience, yeah? Furthermore, Subhuti, someone may claim those who set forth on the Bodhisattva path announce the destruction or the end of some dharma, as though working toward this enlightenment is somehow, again, that nihilistic idea. That nihilism can only be conceived of people trapped in attachment. The idea that being unattached destroys and annihilates. No. Being unattached avails you to a much greater experience of the very same things. It's a poor analogy, but come on. What does that song say? If you love something or someone, let them go. It's not for them to disappear. That may be what it means in the song, but think about what that's really saying. You can appreciate a being in all of its glory, not parameterized and held into what you want it to be, by accepting that it is its own self, unattached to your mentations, your demands, your requisite fallacies around it. Subhuti, you should hold no such view. Those who set forth on the Bodhisattva path do not announce the destruction or end of any dharma. If anything, a Bodhisattva path is about greater inclusion. 28. Furthermore, Subhuti, if a noble son or daughter took as many worlds as there are grains of sand in the Ganges, here we go again, and covered them with the 7 jewels, and gave them as a gift to the Tathagatas, the fully enlightened ones, and a bodhisattva gained an acceptance of selfless, birthless nature of dharmas, the body of merit produced as a result would be immeasurably, infinitely greater. Once you go through this portal of allowing your identification to stand aside and permit this greater understanding of life, that yours is only an availed experience to witness a much greater experience. And yet Subhuti, the fearless bodhisattva, would not obtain a body of merit. Subhuti said, but surely, Bhagavan, this bodhisattva would obtain a body of merit. Buddha replied, they would, Subhuti, but without grasping it. Thus it is called obtaining. Here's that borderline again. Are you mentally conceiving of your Buddhahood? Or are you allowing your conception of perceiving and being fall away in order to simply accept, be within, and experience without a self this stream of energy that is the universe, all life? Buddhahood does not simply occur to you. It is something your sentient mind is capable of witnessing, irrespective of you-ness and your warehouse. Your mind can do that. How would that perceptive realization alter the way you and your identity and samsaric world would play out? How would you navigate that world with that experience in mind? Oh, that's hard to conceive of, yes? That's going to require some daimoku. Furthermore, Subhuti, if someone should claim that the Tathagata goes or comes or stands or sits or lies on a bed, Subhuti, they do not understand the meaning of my words. The Buddha doesn't reside in your Butsudan. He said it. I can't give you Buddha. You can't give it to me. We can together participate in Buddha-ness. This is the phenomenal power that you may have experienced in chanting with others. And the closer those others, as well as yourself, understand Buddha-ness, the more powerful that gathering of recitation is, all opening their gateway to Buddha-ness, their personal Gohanzan door, all using the same mirror to that Gohanzan door, experiencing Buddha-ness together, not separate Buddhas. It's not in the mandala. That's our perfect tool to jar our samsaric consciousnesses, eyes, ears, tongue, so on. We've talked about this. And relegate them to function rather than identity, to permit what has been there all along, this great flow of energy, to become obvious to our sentient minds, to become part of our mind, our thinking, our samsaric existence. That's the Buddha-ness, that connection. That's what Nichiren identified as Gohanzan, that connection between the totality and the individual, undifferentiated. That's where we trip up. That's where we have a hard time. Do I disassemble to do that? No. You just perceive with a completely new light what it is to be in samsara. So much greater. Does the point of a pencil making marks on a piece of paper, is it aware of the rest of the pencil, let alone the hand that is moving it? But once we have the entire picture, we can appreciate the marks on the paper and the graphite and the communications and all of it. The sparks, the evidence of the process of life. That's what we are. And why not, Subhuti? Those who are called Tathagatas do not go anywhere, nor do they come from anywhere. Thus they are called Tathagatas, fully enlightened ones. Right? It's just the process of life, the great engine of life. All right. Starting to sound repetitive, but then again, we will continue with the Perfection of Wisdom, the Diamond Sutra portion, in the next video. For now, I think that's a lot to consider. We keep running into this same this difficulty of language, yeah? It is part of our journey to break through the limitations of language, attachment, and the samsaric world, and my little snorting dog behind me. I don't know if you can hear her. Come here, Chloe, you okay? Oh, she's laying down. Anyway, thank you for, again, I so appreciate you're doing this. I don't mean just listening or downloading the podcasts, or your effort in breaking through this samsaric reality to experience this life reality, This is Buddha-ness. This is how we become in awe of being, as well as in the very process of being in awe of everything that it produces, moment to moment to moment. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo. Thank you for your support. Thank you for liking and subscribing. Please do that. It helps grow our Sangha. And to our patrons, we all deeply appreciate your efforts to support this channel. You know how it's done. I'll leave it at that, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now. Namo Myoho Renge Kyo.